So it's a tornado, but not just any tornado. It's a whirlwind of flame, burning with intense heat and destroying everything in its path. It's not from a science fiction film, it's real, and it's one of the most terrifying weather events on our planet. A fire tornado. These rare whirlwinds are formed when hot temperatures, strong winds, and wildfires converge, producing a swirling fire tornado that can generate winds stronger than a hurricane and reach temperatures above 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Fire tornadoes don't only spread fire, they generate their weather, sucking up burning material, feeding the flames, and rendering wildfires all but uncontainable. But what produces them? How did they contribute to some of the most catastrophic natural disasters in the history of the world? And with global warming making wildfires more severe, are we witnessing them more than ever before? In this video, we'll dig up the science, the real-world disasters, and the increasing threat of these blazing beasts. Let's get started. A fire tornado, firenado, or fire whirl is a lethal weather event in which fire, heat, and wind merge to produce a rotating column of fire. In contrast to a conventional tornado produced by thunderstorms, a firenado is created by intense heat, most often from a wildfire, volcanic explosion, or factory fire, that makes the air above it shoot up. As this warm air rises, cooler air moves in to take its place, forming a spinning column. When fire and burning material are swept up in this chaotic movement, a fire whirlwind is created, occasionally towering hundreds of feet into the air. Unlike other tornadoes, which are powered by atmospheric instability and large-scale winds, fire tornadoes are significantly smaller, but incredibly more powerful. They can reach wind speeds of over 140 miles per hour, producing temperatures capable of melting metal. Regular tornadoes may last anywhere from minutes to hours and travel vast distances, while fire tornadoes tend to be short-lived but extremely potent at spreading flames. These hellish whirlwinds convert wildfires into uncontrollable infernos, turning them into one of nature's most frightening powers. Fire tornadoes develop under a perfect combination of circumstances: severe heat, chaotic winds, and ascending air currents. It begins with a strong fire, typically from a wildfire or volcanic eruption, that quickly warms the air above it. The hot air, lighter than the surrounding cooler air, starts to rise, generating an updraft. As the fire consumes, it sucks in air around it to feed itself, and if the winds are precisely correct, this incoming air begins to spin. When these rotating winds meet the column of rising heat, the flames themselves can be sucked into the vortex, forming a horrifying fire tornado. Fire tornadoes are intensely powerful. Their rotating motion is like a dust devil, in which ground heat makes air rise and rotate. But since fire tornadoes have flames and burning embers, they can spread wildfires at a frightening pace. In certain instances, they create their weather systems, which makes them even more unpredictable and deadly. Fire tornadoes, while uncommon, have caused some of the worst natural disasters in history. Perhaps the most notorious example was in Canberra, Australia, in 2003, when a ferocious wildfire created a firenado with wind speeds of up to 155 miles per hour. The massive whirlwind swept through the city, burning houses, felling trees, and spreading fire at a rate that was frightening to behold. The mixture of intense heat and strong winds made it almost impossible for firefighters to control. Yet another astonishing incident occurred in the 2018 Carr Fire in California, which witnessed one of the most powerful fire tornadoes ever. This firenado was powered by 143 miles per hour winds and sent debris flying over 1,000 feet high into the air to form a killing storm of fire and ash. It claimed several lives, including a firefighter, and incinerated more than 200,000 acres. Maybe the most lethal fire tornado ever was the one that happened in 1923 during the Great Kanto earthquake in Japan. Huge fires erupted in Tokyo, and the strong winds developed a fire whirl that ravaged the city. One incident claimed more than 38,000 lives in minutes. There have been other instances of fire tornadoes reported all over the globe, leaving behind devastation. Fire tornadoes are one of the most destructive natural forces, coupling the scorching heat of wildfires with the brute strength of tornado-like winds. Their influence spreads well beyond the actual fire zone, introducing new hazards for ecosystems, wildlife, infrastructure, and human life. They don't only incinerate what's in their immediate path, they also start new fires. The intense winds at their center pick up burning material, embers and ash high into the air, sometimes depositing them miles away, igniting new fires in previously unscathed areas. This process, called spotting, renders wildfire containment nearly impossible. These fire whirls also scorch forests and habitats, killing animals and leaving the land bare. The intense heat of a firenado, reaching temperatures over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,093 degrees Celsius, incinerates tree roots to tip and changes the soil content, preventing the regrowth of vegetation. Where wildfires have occurred, the impact of a firenado can speed up desertification, converting once lush forests into desolate terrain. To humans, fire tornadoes are a dangerous and unpredictable threat. While regular wildfires tend to travel in relatively predictable directions according to wind patterns, a firenado will change direction or grow in an instant, leaving individuals with little warning time. Homes, cars, and even whole neighborhoods can be in flames almost instantly, providing little or no time for escape. In the 2018 car fire in California, a firenado generated winds of more than 140 miles per hour, overturning vehicles, breaking power lines, and vaporizing street signs. The ferocity of the fire made homes explode on impact, reducing whole communities to rubble. Firefighters and rescue personnel are most at risk when combating these conflagrations. A fire tornado's unpredictable nature makes firefighting almost impossible. Airborne water drops are usually useless, and ground crews can be buried by burning debris that can shift direction in a matter of seconds. Even the fire-resistant clothing firefighters use is powerless against superheated air and burning temperatures within a fire whirl. These can convert lethal wildfires into uncontrollable catastrophes, earning them one of the most dreaded extremes in extreme weather phenomena. Next, we'll explore what scientists are doing to track these firestorms, the role of rising global temperatures in their increase, and whether we're heading toward a future where fire tornadoes become a regular disaster. Fire whirls, hitherto considered rare and standalone events, are increasingly turning up and becoming intense as a consequence of the growing climate. Accelerating global temperature, extended durations of droughts, and even more extreme climate patterns have helped create the best conditions for the occurrence of the fire whirls. Experts state that as global warming speeds up, so too will the phenomenon of these flame whirls turn them into ordinary occurrences in wildfire-prone areas. One of the biggest factors driving this increase is rising temperatures. Over the past century, global temperatures have climbed significantly, and with each degree of warming, the risk of large, intense wildfires increases. Hotter air dries out vegetation faster, creating vast areas of flammable material that act as fuel for wildfires. This dry, flammable atmosphere facilitates the creation of fire tornadoes, because strong heat and fast-rising air currents create the conditions under which their lethal whirl can exist. Drier conditions are also a primary contributor. Much of the world, especially in regions such as California, Australia, and the Mediterranean, is suffering from longer and more severe droughts as a result of changing climate patterns. With reduced rain, forests and grasslands become drier much quicker and are thus more prone to enormous, uncontrollable fires. As they increase in size and burn hotter, they create the intense heat required to create fire whirlwinds. The drier the terrain, the more potent and extended these whirlwinds can be. Wildfires themselves are becoming more unpredictable and more difficult to contain. Experiments have indicated that climate change is also changing the wind patterns, with a greater probability of severe erratic gusts that are responsible for creating fire tornadoes. Since wildfires have their system of wind, the coupling of heat, unstable air, and rapid fire flow can produce fire vortices at an alarming rate. The outcome is a wildfire that acts more like a natural disaster, with towering fire columns traveling erratically, igniting fires over long distances and rendering firefighting operations even riskier. Scientists now forecast that fire tornadoes will be an increasingly prominent part of future wildland fires. With record heat waves and extreme droughts already happening on the planet, the conditions are ripe for more frequent and intense fire tornadoes. Scientists analyzing wildfires alert that unless extreme measures are taken to curb global warming and better manage fire-swept lands, those frightful firestorms will become increasingly cataclysmic. What was previously a freak event could become a routine fact in a hotter, drier world with each subsequent year. It is very hard to predict fire tornadoes because they develop instantly in hot heat with unstable wind flows. While meteorologists can trace regular tornadoes with the help of radar and atmospheric data, fire tornadoes appear instantly inside wildfires, and hence forecasting them in real time is not possible. Scientists are employing satellites, AI-based fire models, and high-resolution weather monitoring to analyze these events, but it is a significant challenge to identify when and where a fire tornado will develop. Halting a firenado is even more difficult. Conventional firefighting methods, such as water drops and fire breaks, do not work because the intense heat and wind render direct action too risky. Researchers are investigating fire suppression chemicals and controlled burns to avert conditions that give rise to fire tornadoes. AI-powered fire forecasting and drone-mounted fire-quenching technology will be available in the future. But with climate change fueling wildfires, stopping fire tornadoes is a daunting challenge. Fire tornadoes are among nature's most frightening and volatile forces, created when extreme heat, intense winds, and dryness come together. They create destruction in mere seconds, turning wildfires even more deadly and more difficult to contain. With climate change fueling hotter, drier conditions, fire tornadoes are on the rise, threatening communities globally. Although we can't prevent them, knowing how they're created is the key to keeping ourselves safe. If this was interesting, subscribe for even more unusual weather breakdowns, because the more we understand, the more ready we are for nature's wildest extremes.